Guys, we're going to start looking at chapter 10 here regarding some geometric concepts. And 10.1, the first title I have is pairs of lines and angles. Okay. Volunteer to read what our question is that we're trying to answer this hour. Maddie, you want to read that for me?
Okay. What does it mean when two lines are parallel intersecting? I don't know.
So that third word right there is coincident right there.
Coincident.
Okay, so what does it mean when two lines are parallel, intersecting, coincident, or skew? Guys, we know what parallel lines are, right?
Yeah.
You've heard the joke. Parallel lines have so much in common, it's a shame they will.
Never.
Perfect. Intersecting lines, they're going to cross. How about this term right here, coincidental, or coincidental lines? Anybody know what that is? Okay, who lives in Dysart? Grace, you live in Dysart. Grace, we're going to say that you're old enough to buy a lottery ticket. Grace goes down to the Casey's in Dysart. She buys a ticket. She scratches it off. She wins $1,000. Same time, Parsons in LaPorte City. He goes to the Casey's. He buys a lottery ticket. He scratches it off. He wins $1,000. We would say, wow, what a... Because the same thing happened to both people, right? So coincidental lines are like the same line. One line right on top of the other. It's a...
Do you want to change the
coincidence. Okay. Oh, is that what you guys were looking at me for? All right.
Oh, no.
So, and then skew. Skew is going to be very different. When Ms. Hagewald was here, you talked about skewed graphs or skewed distributions. We're not going to talk about in terms of that, but we'll get to that here in a second. Okay? All right, kids, in order to answer the question that was asked right there then, everybody listen up, please. Everybody listen up. We need to, first of all, be able to identify lines and planes. We've had exposure to that. We need to identify parallel and perpendicular lines. We've had exposure to that. The thing that's going to be new for us today is, and it's very important, is identify pairs of angles formed by, and here's the biggie, transversals. Very important right here. Okay? And we'll talk about what a transversal is here in a second. All right? Now, I would say if there's a day where vocabulary is probably more important than other days, today might be that day. All right? So make sure we're doing well on the vocab. We need to get some diagrams drawn here. So we're going to do this quick. Let's get some diagrams put in here. And we're going to do some highlighting of stuff to make sure that we understand what these terms mean moving forward. So help me out, kids. Go to the corresponding angles definition and go into this box right here. And what I want you to draw is something similar to what I am putting up here right now. Doesn't need to be exactly what I have. And, let's pick some better colors for my transversal. So how about... Okay, so in that situation right there, that's what I want you to draw. I'm going to blow this up here for a second, make some room. Okay. So where you have corresponding angles, this is what we're putting in here. And then I want you to label the angles as follows. Okay, that's what you should draw in that first box right there. And label the angles as I've labeled them. All right, now, hey, here's what we're doing. Once you've got that diagram drawn, I want you to replicate it in this box. I want the same drawing in, shoot, that didn't work out well. I want that same drawing in this one. And I want that same drawing in this one. What's taking you guys so long? Hurry up.
Just single. No, there's nobody on. No, I was just the top of the floor. Yeah. You almost hit it wrong. No, he would not. He never ground.
Okay, do me a favor. When you've got those written down, just let me know so we can start moving on into the definitions and the vocabulary and talk about what it is we're trying to accomplish today. We want to make sure that we've got the right terms in our vocabulary as we progress through this section today. Well, there's no camera, it's just picking up the sound and it's just recording the screen. So
They're the same drawing for all of them.
every single one's the same. Yep, that's right, Mark.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
what elective should I take next year?
Culinary class, fine cooking culinary lunch.
What?
I want to start a class. I want culinary class. I want to do fine cooking. I want to teach kids how to cook fine
Yeah,
foods.
Miss Long.
You take over Miss Long's spot. Yeah, take Mrs.
We'll
Long's
smoke
job.
ribs. We'll
Oh.
braise chicken. We'll make prime rib. We'll smoke some brisket.
Could it just
I
be
think
during
you're
fourth
going over your
hour,
budget.
so we can just eat it there?
Well, I thought you guys would chip in and help. I mean, it all sounds too good. We could just eat lunch together every day.
Yeah,
couldn't we?
fourth hour, eat lunch.
Be awesome, wouldn't it? Let's just have 6-hour lunch. 6 hours on your schedule is lunch. How's that sound?
Alright.
Oh, that's too long.
You guys like that idea? Hey, who needs more time getting those diagrams down? Anybody need more time getting those diagrams down?
No.
Huh?
6 hour credit is no lunch.
Kinda. Snacking away. All right, hey, let's get rolling. Done or not, let's get rolling here. Start with these. Start with these terms. First term up there, skew lines. Skew lines. Have a volunteer would read that for me, please. Thanks, Rhett.
Lines that are not collinear and do not intersect.
Okay, so lines not on the same plane and do not intersect. So if you can look at this room, it's like a box right here.
Yep.
Lines that are not coplanar and do not intersect. Okay, I want you to fix your eyes on that back wall up there. Okay, you guys got your eyes up on that back wall. Now look at that corner up there, the edge where the ceiling and the wall meet. Draw a line there. You guys got that line in your memory?
Not really, but okay.
Okay. Now up here, is that line a horizontal line or vertical line? It's horizontal. So we need to find something that's not in the same plane and something that's directionally different, because if it's going to run in the same direction, then it's going to be parallel. So, hi Grace. You okay? We're making sure you survived your ordeal. All right. So we've got our eyes affixed on that line. Now focus your attention up here. Take a look at this corner right here, where the two walls meet. Vertical. First question: are these two lines that we're talking about within the boundaries of this room? Are they in the same plane at all? Are they on the same flat surface? No. Are they ever going to cross each other? No. So we say that those are what type of lines? Those are called skew lines. Okay. So make sure we understand that. Parallel lines, we've had enough work on those this year. We know exactly what they are. They're two, and it shouldn't say planes. It should say two lines right here. So cross this out. This should say two lines that do not intersect. And understand that those are two lines in the same plane. I want to put something up here regarding parallel lines. So sketch parallel lines like this. Okay, even though I have a bad sketch up there. Those are two lines. Now, when they diagram stuff out, they're going to put some arrows in here like this. So if I put an arrow in here and here, that just indicates to me that the two lines are parallel. So if you see symbols like, you might see like one set of lines has one arrow in it, and then maybe a different set of lines in a diagram has two arrows. So if you see two arrows, you're looking to match two arrows with two arrows. If you had a line with three arrows on it, like it, three red arrows on it, you would look for another line with three red arrows. Those symbols just indicate that stuff is parallel. Okay? All these little things do, or these little arrows do, is indicate that your lines are parallel. So I call it a parallel indicator. Okay, parallel indicator. Okay. So here's the big idea today. We're going to be talking about lines. Maybe parallel, maybe not. But they're going to get cut by what's called a, what's this word right here? Transversal. Definition of a transversal. A line that intersects two or more coplanar lines at different points. As an example, suppose you have line A like this and line B like this. I won't make them quite parallel. Label these lines A and B. All right, you might have a situation where your line is cut by what's called a transversal right here. Okay? That cuts through at least two lines there that are in the same plane. Okay? And anytime I have a line that cuts through multiple lines right here, I always label this my T, which probably stands for what, kids? Your transversal. Okay? So if you have two lines cut by one line, that one line that's cutting the two, it's called a transversal. All right? So as we talk about lines cut by transversal, specifically two lines that we're going to look at in these examples for definitions of certain pairs of angles, how many angles are formed right up here with that typical diagram, two lines cut by a transversal? How many angles are up here? There's 8 of them here. Okay? So I'm going to call this line A right here. This is my line A. This is my line B, and this is my transversal. Okay? And I'm going to do this for all of them. Line B, line A. And my transversal. Line B, line A, and my transversal. Okay? Let's talk about some of these definitions as they relate to lines cut by a transversal. Okay? There are 8 angles formed. I totally agree. Okay? We're always talking about pairs of angles as it would relate to line A and line B. So we're always talking about one angle at line A and another angle at line B. The first type of angles that are formed here are the following. They're called corresponding angles. And here's how I think about corresponding angles. Definition-wise, there are two angles that are formed by two lines and a transversal. Here's my two lines, A and B. Here's your transversal, that are in corresponding positions. It means they're in the same relative position for each line that my transversal cuts through. So as an example right here, in reference to line B right here, where is angle 1? Top left, top right, bottom left, or bottom right? Top left. In reference to angle A, which number is top left? 5, 6, 7, or 8? 5. So what I say here is this. I would say angle 1 corresponds to angle 5. Now I think about corresponding angles as follows. Okay? And listen to the way I say this. If you can look at this cluster, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and slide that whole cluster down the transversal, where would that cluster land? In other words, which of those numbers would number 1 land on if you slid that cluster 1, 2, 3, 4 down to the cluster 5, 6, 7, 8? 1 would land on what? 5. So if I slid the cluster down, where would 2 land? So another pair of corresponding angles would be 2 goes to 6. What's another pair of corresponding angles, kids? 3 would fall on 7. And what's the last pair of corresponding angles there, Jack? For question, Jack? Sure can. Go ahead. What's the last pair, kids? 4 to 8. You bet. 4 and 8. Okay? So if you can think of corresponding angles as like taking one cluster up top and sliding it over to the other cluster and see what falls on what, those are corresponding angles. All right?
What did that say? C-O-R-R?
C-O-R-R, which stands for corresponding. They correspond to each other as
Sound
abbreviated.
like that guy in that lawyer trooper.
Love it. All right, let's talk about the next one. Okay? Now again, guys, think about it. Angle 1, is angle 1 relative to line A or line B? Line B. Angle 1 is at line B. Where's angle 5 at? Line A or line B? We're always talking about an angle. One of the angles is on line B and one is on line A. All right? Or adjacent to it, if you will. So the next one we're going to talk about, and this is pretty important. These are pretty important. Next we're going to talk about is what's called alternate interior angles. Those are two angles that are formed by two lines. So my two lines, A and B again, and a transversal T right here, that are between the two lines. So we're talking about angles in between A and B. So what numbered angles are in between A and B? 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now one of the angles has to be adjacent to line A, and one angle has to be adjacent to line B when we talk about these, when we pair them up. But it says those angles that are in between line A and B also have to lie on the opposite side of the transversals. So I'm going to highlight angle 4. I highlight angle 4 right there. Do you guys agree if that's an interior angle? Is it between lines A and B? It is, okay? Is angle 4 there? Is angle 4 adjacent to line B or line A? It's B, right? So I need to pick an angle that is adjacent to the other line. In this case, line A, that's on the opposite side of the transversal and between lines A and B. So 6. So I would say, you know what? 4 and 6 is a pair of what's called alternate interior angles. Okay, 4 is alternate interior to 6. What's another pair of alternate interior angles? 3 to 5. Yep. You got it. Okay. All right, so in our definitions, just like alternate interior angles, the next term is alternate exterior angles. It means exactly the same thing, but instead of being between the two lines, we're going to be outside the lines, which is a good show on ESPN. All right? Alternate exterior angles.
This is crazy.
Alternate exterior angles right here. First of all, what are my exterior angles? 1, 2. Good. 1, 2, 7, 8. So let's talk alternate exterior angles. We got the exteriors. What's alternate?
1 and 7 and 2 and 8.
Okay, so slow down for me. I'm a little old and I'm a little slow.
Sorry.
1 and what?
7.
Let me ask some questions. Are 1 and 7 outside my lines A and B?
Yeah.
Are they on alternate sides of the transversal?
Yeah.
So 1 is going to be alternate exterior to 7. Another pair of alternate exterior angles. I'm sorry?
2 and 8.
2 and 8. How many agree 2 and 8? Gnarly. This is easy. Okay, well then the last type of angles that we need to talk about is right here. And this is a smart one. It's an intelligent one and it works for an agency. It works for the CIA.
Oh. Oh.
Works for the CIA. Consecutive interior angles. Okay, here's the deal. Everybody stay up here with me. First of all, in between the lines or outside the lines?
In between.
In between them. Consecutive interior angles. It says we're in between the lines and a transversal, but we lie between those two lines. This time, though, instead of being alternate sides of the transversal, we have to be, so we're inside, we're adjacent, one angle's adjacent to line A, one angle's adjacent to line B. So, anybody have a guess on consecutive interior angles here, Maddie B? 4 and 5, yep. These are interior. Plus they're on the same side right there. So 4 and 5, same side would be consecutive interior. What's the other pair quickly, kids? 3 and 6. Okay. This stuff right here, kids. These types of angles that are formed by a transversal. This stuff, very important. Okay? Very important. Make sure you've got your definitions or your notes down there on that section. That page, I should say. Left side of the room okay? Right side of the room good? Close, girls?
Yeah,
Good? Anybody else need more time? Got him, Jasmine? Okay. Yes.
What's the difference between purified water and spring water?
Purified water. I don't know. That's not
Pure.
spring water came from a spring. I don't know.
It just costs more money.
Wait, I know.
Purified is from the
Spring water.
Class.
I got it. Spring water is only sold during the months from like say March
So spring.
21st to June 21st, and that's sold all times.
So this one's rare.
Purified water
Rare.
comes from a mountain.
Mine's more. You got a rare
Spring
one.
water is in the spring.
Okay, hey, we need to label some stuff. Do the following, please.
It's mountain water.
Yeah, but it's purified.
I think it's purified from
It's purified with the factory. Spring water, that's.
Yeah, but for source, it's from a mountain. Yeah, well, the spring gets filtered too. It's not just spring water.
All right, in your notes, take a second and label those points, please. Label those points in your diagram on page 2.
The fifth inning, you got Rosario on second. Winston struck out. Castro almost hit dawn.
All right, anybody, real quickly, anybody need more time labeling points?
Wait, I'm low. I've what? Wait.
Okay, here we go. Everybody quiet down. Here we go. Looks like you've got them down. Guys, example 1 right here. Identifying lines and planes right here. Okay, in this situation right here, you're supposed to think of each segment and a figure as part of a line. Question says, which line or lines or plane or planes appear to fit each description? Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in here, but when they say that BC is part of a line, this would, if you would extend BC all the way across, that would be like a line. So we're just talking about this as it's relative to the diagram. In this case right here, we're going to assume all angles are 90 degrees. Okay, we're dealing with some kind of a rectangular prism in this drawing. Okay. All right, so let's talk right here. The first thing that we need to identify are is a line or lines parallel to what? So we've got to be parallel to GH, but there's also another condition that says your line that's parallel to GH, there's many of them. You have CD is parallel, BA is parallel, EF is parallel because they're all running the same direction. Okay? My question, though, is going to be relative to some of the information here. They say, hey, by the way, the line that we're talking about parallel to GH has to contain which point? Okay, you have to pass through this point. Okay, so F has to be part of your answer right here. So which line would be parallel to GH there? EF. Okay, what's an alternative name for EF? Okay, so we could say line EF or line FE. Okay, so again, let's just look at this. Do the two lines that I've highlighted appear to be parallel? Yes. Is the line that I want, EF or FE, is that passing through point F? Is there any other line that would pass through point F or any other edge of that box that would pass through F that would be parallel to GH? No. So that's my only option. Okay. All right. Let me get rid of this and this. Okay. Next one says you have a line that is what? Line or lines that is skew to GH. This one right here again. And again has to contain which point, kids? Have to contain F right here. So which line would be skew through F, skew to GH through F? Let's see, how about FE? That's not going to work. We already know it's parallel, right? I can go along this edge, F to G, but is FG skew or is that going to intersect? It's going to intersect, isn't it? So what's my only possibility here, guys? FB or BF. You bet. FB or BF. That's the only line that's skewed. Non-coplanar will not cross. So line FB or line BF. FB or BF. Okay? Okay, next one then. Same game. We need to be, and this time, what's the word? Perpendicular. We said assume all angles in this rectangular prism are 90 degrees. So if I start at point F to be perpendicular to line GH, what line would be perpendicular to line GH through my point F? FG would. Okay, line FG, what's another name for FG? Very good, guys. Very good. Okay. Then the last one I want to make sure we pay attention on. I'll run through this here quickly and make sure we're okay. All right, listen carefully, kids. This is going to talk about parallel planes. Right here I have my rectangular prism. If I had to say, hey, the top plane is parallel to which plane? Bottom, just like the floor is parallel to the ceiling here. I would say that your left wall is parallel to the right wall, and the front is parallel to the back. These flat surfaces are parallel to each other. So in this last example right down here, they want to say what plane or planes are parallel to plane GHD. All right, let's find plane GHD. G to H to D is right here. Looks like we're talking about which side, kids? This whole right side that's shaded. Okay. You guys agree that's the right side?
Yeah.
So, which side would be parallel to that in this diagram?
A, B, E, F.
Okay, so the left side would be. Those two sides would be parallel to each other. We have to name our plane. Our plane is made up of how many non-collinear points again, kids? Ah. They named this plane GHD, so only 3 non-collinear points. But we need to make sure that our name has letter what in it? F. I'm just going to write these down. There's really 3 names. I'm not going to change the order on anything on this one here because I don't want you to spend a bunch of time writing 9 different names down. Okay? But one thing I do want to point out is this. We typically talk about this meaning perpendicular when we abbreviate. That's another symbol for naming a plane. So this simply says plane. Here we go. Do you guys agree FBA could be one of the names right there? Okay. How about this one? If I use F and B again, plane F, B, we already used A, so we can say plane F to B back to where? E. That's still on that flat side. Or another plane would be F. Let's not use B this time. FAE would work, or FEA, whatever you want. Okay? In terms of naming lines that are skew, perpendicular, parallel, in terms of planes that are parallel, are you okay in this example? Yes? Okay. Well, let's run on to the last page here. Okay. Let me know when you're done.
It's 2-2 now.
Bad news, right?
Perez hit a homer and then they got a guy on. He hit a double.
Okay. Next page. So here's a diagram right up here. Guys, we've got some streets up here. And it's going to talk about identifying parallel and perpendicular lines. And it says the given line markings show how the roads in a town are related to one another. Okay? Again, when we talk about parallel lines, we're looking for arrows that would indicate lines that are parallel. Okay? So, take a look at your diagram. Part A asks the following. Name a pair of parallel lines. Okay? D. Is this M right here? DM. DM and EF. Guys, Lauren is saying DM right here is parallel to EF. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Lauren, what's your justification?
The 2 little arrows.
Yeah, these arrows indicate that they're parallel. So in part A, I'm going to say, hey, we know that DM, line DM, is parallel to line, whoops, it's parallel to line EF, because these 2 symbols right here indicate that my lines are parallel. Okay? They indicate parallel lines. Now, guys, I had given you originally the solution. I had MD parallel to FE. Is this the same exact thing? Yeah. It is. We just switched the order on them, didn't we? Okay. All right, show of hands, please. How about lines that are Lines that are parallel. I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. Not parallel, but perpendicular. Perpendicular. Someone I haven't heard from yet. P, you got it?
Line BF.
Line BF is perpendicular to, okay, A is on this diagonal line actually. It would actually be D to DM. So perpendicular to line DM. How do you know that, P?
Because there's a right triangle. I mean, right square.
There's a right angle symbol up there, right? Hang on a second, kids. You guys take a look at number 3. Raise your hand when you know the answer to number 3.
No.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of no's right now. I'm hearing a lot of no's. Why no? Yeah. Yep. Right here, FE is this line here, and this is AC. They're eventually going to do what right down here? They're going to cross. So no, because they will. Intersect. Okay, they will intersect. All right, so I think we've got a pretty good understanding here. All right. So last part here. Last part. We're coming back to this idea then about lines that are cut by transversals. We talked about this already in the definition. So I want you guys to take a minute and see if you can name all of those pairs. The first one's going to have 4 answers. The remaining 3, B through D, will have 2 answers, okay?
Oh, they scored? Kepler doubled to Rice. Dozier scored 23-2. Now
Are you gonna watch
now
every baseball game this year? Ed?
Buxton's gonna strike out. How much you want to bet?
Are you gonna watch all the baseball games this year?
Which baseball games are there like?
162.
How many?
No,
I'm very.
total.
I like my cricket.
That'd be such a good draft.
And me.
How many baseball games are there?
30.
30 times 160. What?
Buxton is
No.
over 10.
4,860.
Okay.
But you have to divide that by 2 because 2 teams play 1 game. Right?
Yeah.
2,430.
What?
Divided by 9.
You would be so tired
No,
if
that
you
would've
just
been
like the
times
World
9.
Series.
Okay, let's talk my corresponding angles in this diagram. First of all, I'm going to tell you this here, kids. We have line A and line B cut by my transversal. Right there. This is a little bit different setup than what I gave you in the notes. I want to see how well we're doing with this. Show of hands, please, on corresponding angles. Maddie, what's one pair?
1 and 5.
1 and 5, because this is where you cluster it up and just slide it down to transversal and see what matches. So what are my other sets, kids? This should be easy.
Wait, how's it 1 and 5?
1 and 5, because you
3
take,
and 7.
this is line A, this is my cluster right here, right?
3 and 7.
I would have to slide this over to fall on this one. So 1 would fall on what?
3 and 7. 3 and 7 same line angle, so wouldn't it flip?
That's okay. That's okay. They don't have to be parallel. Really?
Oh.
Okay? You're just sliding angles along the line. So 1 and 5, what's another set?
3 and 7.
3 and 7?
2 and 6.
2 and 6?
3 and 8.
What'd you say?
4 and 8.
2 and 6 and 4 and 8. Okay? Which angles are alternate interior? Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Oh, yeah.
Yes? Hello?
What?
Hi. Back door. You're at the back door. Richie, go to the back door and let my wife and kid in. Yeah, of course I want to see my kid. All right. All right, let's finish this up. Alternate, hey, alternate interior, stay with me. Raise your hand, please.
Okay.
Lucian.
1 and 8.
Interior, interior.
Interior, wrong one.
4 and 5, I agree. And then Lauren, you said what else?
2 and 7. Oh, we were right.
Yep.
Oh no.
Okay, alternate exterior. Raise your hand, please. 1 and 8. And then what was the other pair? 3 and 6. Okay. And then last one, and this is the one that I worry about. And this it should be fairly easy, but I worry about consecutive interior angles. What are my consecutive interiors? 2 and 5, yep, or between the two lines consecutively on the same side of the transversal, so it should be 2 and 5. Tanner, what's my other set? 4 and 7. Okay? All right, so here's what I'd like to see happen here. First of all, you should have everything down. You should have this stuff down. Okay, that's first. All right?